Studies show that men tend to run for office more often as they see it as a step in their career, whereas women run for office because they have an issue that they want to make change in their community. There's something that they want to move forward, an agenda that they want to share. And I'm really excited as state director to go out there to find those women and to just build a coalition of women leaders across this state and really make change and truly make Michigan a better place for all Michiganders.
You know, women make up a majority of our population, but they nowhere near make up a majority of our leaders. Not even close. So there's a group called Vote, Run, Lead Action that came to town with their Run 51 Summit at the Renaissance Center. I went down to downtown Detroit to check it out, to learn more about what they're doing, and I talked to two amazing people. First, Erin Vilardi, who is the founder and CEO of this nonprofit that helps women run for office and win. And also, I'm joined by Christine Maul, who is the state director for Michigan. So on this Daily Detroit for Tuesday, November 21st, 2023, I'm just going to hop into this conversation and let them tell their story. They're going to do it a lot better than me. Erin, why don't you introduce to the audience who may not know Vote, Run, Lead Action?
We are a training powerhouse with a goal of making our state legislatures reflective democracies. So that means at least 51% women in all 50 state houses. And we're starting right here in Michigan.
Oh, wow. What kind of barriers have you seen for that over the last, few years?
We've seen barriers for women that have remained the same. Women have smaller fundraising networks, less experiences in leadership, in other sectors that may be seen as transferable. But there's also unique barriers for women when it comes to sexual harassment, when it comes to childcare responsibilities and child raising, and just the intersections and diversity of women. We see our trans sisters getting more of that kind of harassment, a little bit tougher when it comes to raising funds for their campaigns. So we bring all of that into account when we build our programs. But there's also big opportunities there because voters want to see diverse voices. Voters are excited to see the wave of women that has continued to grow in leadership and political leadership.
So Christine and Erin, there are some amazing names in this room. I got to check out one of the sessions yesterday. Why is it such a big deal to have this much power that is accessible to these people who are looking to further their political careers, and also some great names that you brought in via video and things like that?
Absolutely. We were so pleased to have a message from Governor Gretchen Whitmer, from Stacey Abrams, from Melinda French Gates, who are all women interested in seeing the power of women in our formal leadership positions in politics. And we need to be showing diverse leaders. This room is 74% women of color. We have everyone from teenagers all the way up to 70 years old. We have veterans in the room, first generation and immigrant women, and they need to see folks that look like them. We've got state senators and leaders from across the country that have basically been in their shoes. Women who have had some of the same experiences in their lives, whether that's professionally or personally, maybe gone through some of the same hardships, and we're able to come out and use those hardships and use those barriers as opportunities to run and win their races. So when you see someone who looks like you, who's been through what you've been through, it really makes you feel like you can do it. And then they can really kind of take in the curriculum and all the tips and tools we've been giving them all weekend.
I think that's right. When I first became involved in politics, I always thought that politics was for people who were more polished than me, who were better looking than me, richer than me. And then I was able to go to college, take a political science course. And what I learned was when I spoke up, my voice started conversation. It got people thinking. And I realized there is a place for me here. And I think bringing folks like the video from Governor Whitmer or having Stacey Abrams or some of the state senators and people in power that have been in this room, it shows folks that people just like you are needed at the table and that everyone starts from somewhere and that it's just one step at a time.
As someone who's been covering things locally for a while, no matter what you believe, without a doubt, women have made a huge impact in the state of Michigan in all different levels. Is there anything specifically about Michigan? I could address this to either of you because you're working on stuff in the state as well. Is there anything particularly about Michigan that's maybe helping women advance?
The statewide offices being held by women is a great role model effect. The congressional representation and what had been a fairly diverse first congressional representation with Brenda Carter, Rashida Tlaib, you get a different set of role models that other women can look up to and say, okay, maybe there's something in the water here in Michigan, but voters seem to be ready for women. Women can win in this state. We saw it with the big bump in women in your state legislature. So there's a readiness, and voters have been willing and able to see what women can do in Michigan.
Nationally, what are some of the things that you're seeing and doing?
Nationally, we are not only opening up an office in Michigan. As of just a couple weeks ago, we are officially on the ground here. We're opening up offices in 9 states to seed this idea that we can create women majorities in our state houses. We are working with campaign managers. We need more women campaign managers to help build that political class behind the candidates. And we are doing campaigning differently. We're not just throwing women into the beast and saying, do it like it's always been done. We're really trying to think of ways to make this a more livable situation, that women can raise money in different ways, and just try and experiment with some innovation in the political sector so that women can be successful.
People at home may not realize the importance of a campaign manager, but I haven't seen a successful elected official who didn't have a very strong campaign manager.
Yeah, definitely. It's very important to have a strong team, especially finding someone who can complement your strengths and weaknesses. And just like anything else, there is an art and also a science that goes into campaigning. And I think a lot of women, they feel like they don't have those connections or those skills. So it's really important to have a solid team.
Christine, what have you learned doing some of your work here in Michigan? Because, this is something that I think is a pretty big deal that you're involved in all this.
Yeah, I think one thing that it happens in Michigan, but it happens everywhere, is that folks get distracted by the noise that is going on in Washington, D.C. And really what happens in Lansing, in the state house, and locally in the city council chambers and the county commission chambers, those are the decisions that affect our day-to-day lives the most. And that is where we need more women running to make sure that those decisions are in our interests.
Well, and as you mentioned, women are 51% of the population, and they historically have been greatly underrepresented in office. What are some of the tools that you're looking to give people running, and this is a campaign manager thing, and either one of you want to answer this, what are some of the tools that you're able to give them?
So as a young woman who grew up in Michigan myself, I think something that we see with women is that they have to be asked multiple times to run for office. There's a confidence gap. Men feel qualified, they feel ready, regardless of whether they are. Women tend to doubt themselves and tend to feel less connected, less qualified. That's one of the things that drew me to Vote, Run, Lead, is that Vote, Run, Lead really says, run as you are. And it's all about building up the confidence and giving women the support to show them that you are ready as you are, and you are ready to run, and that you are a leader, and that we need you to make change in this state.
In a previous life, I dealt with a lot of corporate staffing. I actually saw that same gap in the professional world as well. It's interesting that it carries over. Looking into the future, this event is great. We are talking on a Saturday. This is airing on Monday. So this event will be done, but what are some of the things in the future that you all are working on nationally and in the state?
At Vote, Run, Lead Action, we are rooting everything in data. Right now, we're looking at the number of open seats, that women run for. So we've found nationally that there are over 1,000 open state legislative seats every election cycle. Men are running for about 92% of them. Women are only running for about 67% of them. So there's a big gap. We need to close that 33%. We've a third of seats that are open and that are often the right gateway for women, and women aren't even running for them. We know that incumbents, about 27% of the state legislative seats are incumbents running uncontested all across the country. And we know that same trend is happening here in Michigan. So it's important for us to be building a bench of women who are ready for when those open seats come, who are ready for when retirements come, and getting, some long shots. We're not a political party, right? We are really interested in the advancement of women. And so maybe they are running against some of these incumbents. Maybe they're running, shaking it up a little bit and getting some issues on the table that haven't been talked about before by being that challenger.
What about somebody who's listening to this and thinking, well, I'd like to run, or maybe I should run, but what are some of the things that somebody who would think about running, they should think about before they do so?
The first place to go is vrlhq.org. VRLHQ is our digital headquarters, and we have great resources of women from around the country, including leaders from Michigan, that are going to give it to you straight, whether it's videos, worksheets, you can listen to some of the podcasts. There are 10 things to think about when you're thinking about running for office is a list to go through. Talking to your family, seeing what office might be right for you, figuring out where you have leadership opportunities in other areas and transferable skills. So VRL HQ is a free resource. Hundreds of women are using it across the country. It is the place to go to sort of dip your toe in the water and see where you might, want to run and show up at one of our trainings or one of our other great partners events.
And I would be remiss if I didn't ask, what are you excited most about working in Michigan?
Studies show that men tend to run for office more often as they see it as a step in their career, whereas women run for office because they have an issue that they want to make change in their community. There's something that they want to move forward, an agenda that they want to share. And I'm really excited as state director to go out there to find those women and to just build a coalition of women leaders across the state and really make change and truly make Michigan a better place for all Michiganders.
I would be remiss if I did not thank Cheyenne Nocerini, the woman who edited this episode. As always, feedback, dailydetroit@gmail.com or 313-789-3211. That's 313-789-3211. We may use your voicemail on the podcast. Thanks to all the people who sent in wonderful Thanksgiving notices to the team. I am passing them all on. Keep them coming. Really appreciate it. Super heartfelt, and thank you. With that, I am Jer Stays. Tomorrow I'll be joined by Norris Howard, and then we'll be on the Thanksgiving break. Thank you so much for listening to your Daily Detroit. Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around town.